Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha Television with me, Frank Pereira. Let's begin as always with the latest headlines. Amid fading hopes of finding earthquake survivors, Nepal asks foreign rescue teams to leave the country. Ahead of his French counterpart's visit to India, Defence Minister Manor Parrikar says Rafale deal likely to be concluded this month. With time running out on key legislations during the budget session, government reaches out to the opposition. Taliban softens position during informal talks with Afghan government in Qatar, but fresh wave of violence leaves 17 people dead. Well, first up in the bulletin this morning, with the death toll crossing 7,200 in Nepal, foreign rescue teams have been asked to pack up and leave. 34 countries, including India, have been part of the rescue effort since the April 25th quake that devastated several parts of the Himalayan nation. Here's more.
Days after the killer quake flattened Nepal, the Himalayan country's government is asking foreign rescue teams to pack up. India is among the 34 countries who have been asked to pull out their rescue teams. New Delhi was the first to send help within hours of the earthquake on 25th April. 16 teams of the National Disaster Response Force have been at work since then. Reports claim that Kathmandu's directive to the rescue teams was triggered by the local population's anger against the media, especially the Indian media's coverage of the earthquake. However, both India and Nepal deny this.
We have to thank the government of India. Within 6-7 hours of time, with all the necessary equipments, the flight from Delhi had reached Kathmandu. It helped a lot, and it survived many people.
The Nepalese envoy said this after meeting India's Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar in New Delhi. Kathmandu also clarified that its decision was not aimed at India. India too tried to downplay the reports as media speculation.
ये वास्तविकता नहीं है और जो मीडिया में जो खबर आया है वो सही नहीं है.
With hopes of rescuing any more survivors receding, Nepal is now shifting focus from rescue to rehabilitation. The United Nations says the earthquake has affected 8 million of Nepal's 28 million people, with at least 2 million needing tents, water, food and medicine over the next 3 months. But it's a task. The nation will have to shoulder all by itself. Now that the foreign rescue teams are being told to leave. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, India is yet to respond to Nepal government's request to call back its aid workers. Not only have Indian disaster relief and military personnel been at the forefront of operations in Nepal, many Indian groups and NGOs have also been working hard to collect aid for the quake-ravaged country. Here's a report.
Gorakhpur in Uttar Pradesh on the India-Nepal border, a consignment of aid ready to leave for Kathmandu by road. This particular tranche consists of collections made by the Sashastra Seema Bal from within the ranks, a large part of it from a day's salary contributed by personnel.
4 लाख के आसपास का है और इसमें आटा, दाल, चावल ये खाद्य सामग्रियां हैं. एफर्ट्स तो जारी रखेंगे. ये तो एक पहली सहायता है, फिर जरूरत पड़ेगी जैसे जैसे उधर से लगेगा कि वहाँ जरूरत है तो और भी हम अपना सहयोग करते रहेंगे.
Not just food, clothes and blankets, the help being sent out extends to other practical things too. Artificial limbs, hugely needed by the injured in Nepal, are a contribution from the Blind People's Association Centre in Gujarat that manufactures them. Fractured legs and hands were the most common injuries that survivors have suffered from in Nepal.
एक बड़ी संख्या में वॉकर्स, एल्बो क्रचेस जो हमारे स्टॉक में है हम नेपाल भेज रहे हैं. उसके बाद जो भी प्रोडक्ट्स आज हमारे विकलांग भाई बहन बनाएंगे उनका हम लोग दिल्ली में ऑक्शन करेंगे, बिक्री करेंगे और जो भी धन प्राप्ति उससे होगा हम उस पूरे पैसे का नेपाल रिलीफ के में उपयोग करेंगे.
Over the last week, the one-day salary initiative has been extended to all major corporates as well as government organizations across the country. The Parliament and government have already extended contribution. Numerous NGOs have also started the process of collecting and delivering aid in the form of clothes, tents and more. Vigils and awareness drives are underway in a big way. India reaches out to its closest neighbor. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, that was a roundup of everything that's happening as far as Nepal and the quake is concerned. Let's move on now. The much talked about deal to purchase 36 Rafale aircrafts from France is in the news again. The French Defence Minister will be arriving in India today, and ahead of his visit, Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar said negotiations would begin this month and would be concluded in a time-bound manner.
10th of April 2015. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, on an official visit to France, announces an agreement for India to purchase 36 Rafale planes in ready-to-fly condition for the Indian Air Force. Less than a month on, his defence minister says negotiations are to begin in May itself and will be finalised as soon as possible.
Make in India is one of the part. He is going to be the biggest. There are some actions we have already taken. Like for example, 49% of FDI is permitted, and in case-to-case basis, even 100% can be put. So automatically the restrictions of requirement of defence NOC were automatically withdrawn, and almost 2/3 items have been removed from the list.
The announcement comes ahead of the visit of French Defence Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian starting Tuesday. On Wednesday, he will be meeting Parrikar and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval for talks to finalise modalities for negotiations. A committee is being appointed for it by the two governments. Experts have termed the purchase a timely and good decision.
It's an expression of intent. There's a lot of work to be done before we can say that we have got an agreement in hand, which means that you have to negotiate the price, you have to negotiate other terms and conditions of the contract. But I believe that there is a team which is likely to come to India very shortly to sort out these issues.
The purchase of these Rafale jets in flyaway condition will come as a big boost to the Indian Air Force, currently facing a shortfall of equipment, especially fighter jets. And the definite steps forward suggests movement will be rapid enough. Palak Sharma, Rajya Sabha TV.
Joining me for a chat this morning to talk about this is retired Commodore C. Uday Bhaskar, Director, Society for Policy Studies. Good morning, Commodore, and thank you for joining me on the program. Well, this particular deal, the Rafale deal, has been hanging in the balance for quite some time now, but with the visit of the French Defence Minister, can we see the deal finally coming through?
The deal is definitely moving towards the next step. The Prime Minister has already announced in Paris that India would acquire 36 aircraft, the Rafale aircraft, and the visit of the French Defence Minister should be seen in this particular context, which is to say that India is now committed to acquiring 36 of these aircraft in flyaway condition. But at the same time, there are certain clauses related to the offset and the fact that India wants to get into the business of making aircraft in India. So I see the French Defence Minister's visit as part of a larger spectrum, where on one hand you have the Air Force and the aircraft. We also have the Scorpene, the submarine for the Indian Navy, and the need for India and France to work out some kind of a broader template so that India's attempts at increasing its indigenous capability is also enhanced.
You know, Commodore, it's a known fact that the Indian Defence Forces is facing a major shortage of equipment. Now, the sooner that this deal is reached, the better it is really as far as boosting the capability of the Indian Forces is concerned, isn't it?
Fair enough, because the Indian Air Force, I think, was particularly feeling the pressure that their platform numbers were shrinking and there was no immediate decision about the steady induction that a force like the Indian Air Force would need. But frankly, Frank, I think the Rafale was an immediate tactical decision to address an operational situation. We have a very, very long haul ahead of us in India about a more holistic approach to the Make in India, which should go across the board. The Army, the Navy and the Air Force have their own requirements, and I think as a country, India has not addressed this very serious issue, which is why we are amongst the world's largest importers of defense equipment. I often make this point, for a country like India, 67 years after independence, we still are not in a position to design and produce a personal weapon for the Jawan when we have more than 2 million people in uniform. I think that's an indicator about how big the problem is. Indeed. And the need for us to look at this far more holistically.
Indeed, we need to look at it far more holistically, and the government has been saying that it is going to push for Make in India, and it is heading in that particular direction. We need to wait and see whether or not that will indeed happen. But finally, of course, before I let you go, Commodore, you know, as far as this particular deal is concerned, the Rafale deal is concerned, the government has decided to deal directly with the French government now and not with Dassault. So is this really going to help both the nations?
Well, immediately, yes. I think the government to government is a much quicker way of closing an agreement of this nature. But in the long term, again, Frank, I think India would have to acquire the competence to also deal with the major private players. So I think we also need a change of mindset in reviewing the status of the vendor, often referred to as a middleman. And India needs to get over the Bofors HTW syndrome and be able to deal with the private sector across the globe.
Indeed. All right, Commodore, we'll have to leave to that. Thank you so much for joining us there with your thoughts and comments as far as that particular issue is concerned. Well, moving on now, of course, it's time for a short break, but on the other side, tragic end for 21 people in Madhya Pradesh after a bus accident. We'll tell you all about it in just a while from now. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
दुनिया का हाल, राजनीति की चाल, बिजनेस की रफ्तार, खेल का धमाल, दिन की शुरुआत खबरों के साथ। देखिए हर रोज सुबह 9 बजे सिर्फ राज्यसभा टीवी पर।
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, let's now bring you up to date with what's likely to happen today in our segment, The Day Ahead. RSS-affiliated Swadeshi Jagran Manch will hold protests against the proposed land bill at Jantar Mantar today. They will also hold a Jan Sansad on various farmer issues, including GM Crops' field trials and FDI in e-commerce. Various farmer organizations are expected to join the protests. A Delhi court will hear arguments on the bail petitions of the 6 accused in the Petroleum Ministry leak case. The accused include 4 corporate executives and a journalist. Earlier in February, all 5 corporate executives were arrested for allegedly passing classified documents to corporates. The six-state Gulf Cooperation Council will start a summit in the Saudi Arabian capital Riyadh later today. They will discuss regional developments, but most significantly the ongoing political crisis in Yemen. It is the first summit for Saudi King Salman bin Abdul Aziz, who ascended to the throne on January 23rd. French President François Hollande will also attend the summit. Moving on now, two key bills are slated to come up for consideration today when the Parliament reconvenes after a 4-day break. The GST Constitution Amendment Bill is slated in the Lok Sabha, while the Real Estate Regulation Bill will seek passage in the Upper House. But with barely a week's time left in the ongoing session, the government is likely to face a tough time to pass the legislations.
After a 4-day break, Parliament's session is set to resume on Tuesday. The government is keen to push through key legislations with only a few days left for the second half of the budget session. Several key bills are still pending in either of the House. Time is running out for the government to see through the proposed land acquisition bill on which the centre had issued 2 ordinances. The second ordinance, which was reissued with amendments, will lapse once the session ends in Lok Sabha on Friday. The government also wishes to see through bills on GST, Juvenile Justice Act, Real Estate Regulation and black money in this session. The GST Constitution Amendment Bill is slated to be taken up by Lok Sabha on Tuesday. A united opposition had forced the Speaker to adjourn discussion on GST after the Finance Minister gave his opening remarks. Parties like Trinamool Congress, BJD and AIADMK have already voiced concerns over the GST bill. The Constitution Amendment Bill on GST will need 2/3 majority in both houses, making it difficult for the Modi government to pass it.
सभी स्टेक होल्डर से सभी से चर्चा करने के बाद उसमें एक परिवर्तन किया गया। वो परिवर्तन किसानों के हित में है, वो परिवर्तन विकास के हित में है, वो परिवर्तन पारदर्शिता के लिए है। तो उसमें विरोध करना और ये कहना कि साहब हम इसका विरोध करेंगे चाहे जो हो जाए, हमें लगता है ये हठधर्मिता है।
The bill on real estate regulation is set to be taken up in the upper house on Tuesday. Led by party Vice President Rahul Gandhi, Congress has made it clear that they will continue opposition to the present form of the proposed bill.
हमारा ये मानना है कि ये सारे के सारे संशोधन जो कि बिल्डर को फायदा पहुंचाते हैं, बायर्स को नुकसान में रखते हैं, वो सारे चेंज होने चाहिए और 2013 के स्वरूप में इसको लेकर के आया जाना चाहिए। जो हमारे एग्जिस्टिंग हमारे प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं उन सबके ऊपर लागू होना चाहिए।
लोकसभा में फाइनेंस बिजनेस तो लगभग पूरा हो गया है, राज्यसभा में होना है। उसके अतिरिक्त रियल एस्टेट बिल है वो राज्यसभा में आएगा। साथ ही साथ जो है वो ब्लैक मनी से संबंधित एक कानून है वो भी आएगा। तो मुझे लगता है कि राज्यसभा में सकारात्मक ढंग से सब लोगों से चर्चा हो रही है और चर्चा भी होगी और ये बिल पास भी होंगे।
Opposition parties have demanded that the bills on GST and real estate should be sent to standing committees. But with barely a week sitting left, it seems unlikely that these bills will be passed in the ongoing session. With inputs from Shyam Sundar and Pranav Goswami, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, a face-off is brewing between Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and Lieutenant General Najib Jung over who should clear files from ministries. Rebutting Kejriwal's instructions not to route any files through him, the LG has said that his office is the final authority for approval of any new law.
On Sunday, Delhi's Lieutenant Governor Najib Jung issued a statement asserting his authority as final to pass any new law in the national capital. The statement was issued after Kejriwal reportedly instructed all departments not to route files through the LG's office. The statement referred to the Constitution, the GNCDT Act of 1991 and the Transaction of Business Rules 1993 to drive home the point. According to the experts, the LG can send a report to the President if the rules are flouted.
जिस मामले में काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स का कोई अधिकार नहीं है, उसके बारे में वो कोई इंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं दे सकता। दूसरी बात यह है कि जो लॉ पास होता है असेंबली में, वो लॉ लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर के पास जाता ही है। तो इसलिए चीफ मिनिस्टर के लिए ये कहना कि कोई लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर के पास काफ़ी काम है इसलिए फाइल मत भेजना, ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली करेक्ट नहीं है।
The statement comes after Kejriwal reportedly instructed all departments not to route any files through the LG's office. According to Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, the order had been issued to speed up governance. None from the government has reacted to LG's statement yet. However, opposition parties have questioned the functioning of the AAP government.
केजरीवाल जी को उपराज्यपाल के साथ इस तरह से व्यवहार करना नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि उपराज्यपाल एक संवैधानिक व्यवस्था के तहत और कानून के तहत अपनी कार्रवाई करना या उनके पास फाइल भेजना, जो कुछ कानून के तहत है उसका पालन अरविंद केजरीवाल को करना चाहिए। लेकिन अगर वो ऐसा नहीं कर रहे हैं तो इससे साफ है कि वो शायद मुख्य मुद्दों से लोगों का ध्यान हटाना चाहते हैं।
मुझे लगता है कि उनको इस तरह संविधान से खिलवाड़ नहीं करना चाहिए और सिस्टम से भी खिलवाड़ नहीं करना चाहिए।
However, this isn't the first time that the two had an exchange over such rules. In February, Kejriwal had written to the LG that as per rules, matters related to the reserved subjects of police, public order and land must pass through him. The LG had responded in April saying he was not obliged to do so. In its first stint too, the AAP government had ran into similar controversy with the LG. The government had tabled the Jan Lokpal bill in the assembly without getting Najib Jung's approval. With inputs from Anu Diwan, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, moving on now, at least 21 people have died in Madhya Pradesh's Panna district after a bus fell from a bridge and caught fire. 13 others sustained severe burn injuries. The diesel tank of the bus they were travelling in exploded after skidding off a bridge. A magisterial inquiry has been ordered to ascertain the cause of the accident. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has announced financial help of 1 lakh rupees each to the kin of the deceased and 50,000 rupees for those seriously injured. Prime Minister Modi also expressed his condolences over the incident.
ये बहुत दुखद घटना है और माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने मृतकों को 1-1 लाख रुपए देने की घोषणा की है। प्रारंभिक तौर पर जो अभी उनसे मैंने जो जीवित व्यक्ति उनसे बात की है तो उसका कहना था बस थोड़ी तेज गति से थी और उसका बैलेंस बिगड़ने से वो गिर गया है।
Well, it's time for another short break on the program right now, but coming up, policemen target of latest round of violence by the Taliban in Afghanistan. At least 17 of them are killed. That and much more coming up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
राज्यसभा टीवी की टीम है कश्मीर घाटी के गांव में।
यह रसूखदार कश्मीरी पंडितों का एक बहुत बड़ा गांव था।
कश्मीर से रुखसत हो चुके हैं पंडित।
कश्मीरी पंडित यहाँ के थे, यहाँ के हैं और यहाँ के रहेंगे।
क्या लौटेंगे वो वापस? देखिए कश्मीरी पंडितों के पलायन और पुनर्वास की कहानी, हमारी स्पेशल रिपोर्ट बेबस परिंदे उजड़े तैयार, सिर्फ राज्यसभा टीवी पर।
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, a wave of Taliban attacks targeted police checkpoints late last night in the remote Afghan province of Badakhshan. At least 16 policemen were killed in the attacks. The violence came even as media reports spoke of the Taliban's willingness to soften its position during informal talks with the Afghan government in Qatar. They indicated flexibility on issues like the presence of foreigners in Afghanistan and the acceptance of a constitution. Both sides, however, emphasized in Qatar that peace talks were not on the agenda. Well, let's now bring you up to speed with the other significant news from around the globe in our segment World Wrap. US Secretary of State John Kerry pledged $45 million to Kenya to deal with the 6 lakh refugees living in the country. Kerry met Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta for bilateral talks yesterday. Kerry underscored that Kenya has an important role in helping resolve conflicts in South Sudan and Somalia. Tel Aviv's deputy mayor called for calm a day after fierce clashes broke out in Rabin Square between Israeli police and Israeli Ethiopians. Israeli Jews of Ethiopia are demonstrating against alleged police brutality after a video clip showed policemen beating a black soldier. Demonstrators overturned a police car, smashed shop windows and destroyed property. At least 56 officers and 12 protesters were injured. French President François Hollande signed a €6.3 billion Rafale fighter jet deal with Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. It is the third contract for Dassault Aviation this year after the company sealed the deal with Egypt and India. France is also agreeing to train its pilots and provide missiles. In Burundi, at least 4 demonstrators were shot dead and dozens left wounded by the police after clashes broke out. The demonstrators are protesting against President Pierre Nkurunziza's decision to extend his rule. And a 7.4 magnitude earthquake strikes off Papua New Guinea. Tsunami warning has been issued for coastlines near the epicenter of the quake. According to US Geological Survey, the quake struck in the New Britain region of the island nation at a depth of 50 kilometers. Let's now bring you up to date with sports news from around the world on our Sports Beat. Seeded players had a good opening round at the ATP 1000 Masters Series Madrid Open in Spain. 16th seeded John Isner, 9th seed Marin Cilic and 3rd seed Feliciano Lopez entered the second round with comfortable wins. Well, Stephen Curry of the Golden State Warriors won the NBA Most Valuable Player Award for 2014-15. Curry becomes the second Warriors player to take the honor after Wilt Chamberlain in 1959-60 when the franchise played in Philadelphia. Curry captured 100 of 130 first place votes from a panel of sports writers and broadcasters throughout the United States and Canada. And before we go, let's take a look at these visuals of a bizarre incident. The Seattle police on Friday found a man who ended up in a basketball hoop. He was hung down from the net with his foot caught in a hoop. What's more, he had a hammer in his hand. The police were able to grab hold of his body and use a step ladder to reach the hoop and get his foot out. I'm going to leave you with these hilarious visuals. Have a nice day.